Right. So last week we start the while loop and we discuss how the while loop can be handled from the Python, and we discuss about how to write the codings. And we have done, as I remember, until the 14th question, uh, the coding part. And the 15th and 16th, I asked you to do it at home. So I think every one of you have tried the question. So I'll straight away go to the flow chart and the pseudocode that we have done. So I'll discuss it and I'll come straight forward to the Python coding. Then you can see whether it is correct, whatever you have written with you in your book, right? Whether the coding is correct or not, right? So regarding the 15th and 16th, okay, whiteboard is still getting loading. Okay, just good. Whiteboard has recently updated people, so sometimes it's giving me some hard times. So yeah, let's give it a minute. So it will. Yes, let me do some refreshing, which may help it. Now let me open it again. Yeah. Since it take time, people, so I'll go by the questions. We'll look into those when the things are here. So yeah, so this is the 15th and the 16th question. So the 15th question, the question was draw a flowchart to display the first 12 multiplication value of 2 using an iteration. So we have done it using several different methods, right? So you can see how the things are going to happen with the Python coding, right? So let me take the Python programming. Okay, there you go. Right. So here the task is to have the multiplication of 2, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce a particular variable, right? And I'm going to use a while loop. And my condition is going to be, I can do the condition in 2 different ways. Since I know the limit of my output, I need the values starting from 2 to advance up until to 24, right? So it's the first 12 multiplication. So my output should be 2, 4, 6, 8 kind of a thing, right? So I'm saying x is less than or equal 24. Then the colon should be there. That is a must. Otherwise, you will be getting a syntax error. Then I'm going to have the print statement. And I'm going to print x over here. And it is easy for me to start the x by 2 because the first value that I need on the screen is 2. So then I will print the x, then I will increase the x value by 2. So the traditional way of writing this is x equals x plus 2, right? So that's all. It's a very simple program, right? So let me save it. And yeah, your whiteboard is here. All right, so let me take you to the question number 15. Yeah, since there are lots of graphics, take a little time. Yes. Yeah, so this is the flow chart and the pseudocodes we written for each and every segment, right? So let me separate 3 codings that we have done, right? So we have 3 separate codes, right? I will quickly show you the things. So I'll go with the flow chart that I have made, right? So here, if I consider about the very first pseudocode, I've said begin x equals to display x while x less than 24, then x equal x plus 2, display x, and end while, right? So let me change my code according to that. X equals to, then yeah, I have taken a display x, right? So the display x going to be, according to Python, it's going to be print x, right? And here I have taken x less than 24, then these things are changed, right? Yeah, this is the parallel program to the very first pseudocode that you can see here. And we have given a different alternation here as well, using the yellow color. Instead of these 2 lines, x equal to, and display x, we can put x equals 0 and do the same thing. We'll check it, right? So I'm saving this. Here I'm going to run it. So here I'm running the module. Yeah, as you can see, my output gave me the multiplication of 2, first 12 multiplication of 2, right? And the modification that I have told in the pseudocode, instead of having these 2, right, I may comment that if I define my x or initialize my x as 0, it's going to give me the same output, right? So I'm saving this, I'm running it. There you go. So it comes, it gives us the output in the very same way, right? This is a very good example that you can understand, for you to understand that there can be more than one solution for a particular problem, right? So when it comes to the practical world, it goes the same way, right? So it is the first way that we can have the pseudocode, right? So according to the very first pseudocode and the very first flow chart that we have drawn, right? So from the red color flow chart, we have given you, like we have discussed, a different way of having this, right? So it gives like x equals 0, x equal x plus 2, x less than or equal 24, and display x equals x plus 2 again. So it's kind of a different approach, but it's not a very hard approach to do, right? Instead of specifying this x equals 0, x equal x plus 2, I can start my x using 2 and go with the rest of the things, right? I hope you can easily understand the things, so which I really don't need to code regarding that. And this is something different, right? So earlier in this program, we have taken it as an addition. In my next program, let me give a multi-line comment for this. So how we are going to create the multi-line comments by triple quotes, right? So yeah. So the final way, all right? So this particular green color pseudocode illustrates you a different thing, right? So it is beginning c equals 1, asking to display c into 2, then the while condition is there, and c is increased and displaying will done multiplying c by 2, right? So let's check that as well. So I'm taking the very same variables that I have given in the pseudocode. So c equals 1. So I have to display c into 2. So that means print c multiplied by 2. Then my while condition. So while is c less than 12, right? And I have to put a colon. That is the way we write the while structure. Start from the while keyword, end it from the colon, right? So far we have learned control structures, all the control structures in that manner, starting from the if, end with a colon, starting from else, end with a colon, starting from elif, end with a colon, right? So remember, there are only 4 to 5 places where you are going to use the colon, and after the colon, indentation is must, right? So in the ideally, it will automatically indent as per like as a help for us, right? So here I'm going to give you the incremental state, and then I'm going to have this statement again. Right, so this will do the same output for me. So let's see. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Likewise up until to 24. Right. And again, like I did in the previous program, instead of these 2 lines, I can start c equals 1 here. Right. Let's check whether it is going to give me the same way. I'm going to close this. I'm going to run it. Yeah, hold on. Yes. Hold on. My bad. It's not the 1, it should be the 0. Right, yeah, here it goes. It's the same thing, same output that we can have. So this is the program 1. And from here, this is the program 2. Right, so that is how we are going to approach the 15th question. Yeah, people, just check whether you got the correct Python code on your book. And if you got any question, you can ask. Right, and again, people, I need the confirmation whether it is okay or not. Is that clear, everyone? Right, great. Okay, so people who have any mistakes? Oh, Nirmana.
Sir, our program to 80 million no nene mangar code tika na liya diya
Oh, program to go na right?
While access then 20 go me. Ekali was our peli hatar kola party liya diya.
හරි මේ ටික තියෙනවා නම් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ දෙන්න මේ ටික තියෙන්න ඕනේ ඒත් හරි
අර කොළ පාට හතර විතරයි සර් මල්ලිලා තියෙන්නේ
no problem එකයිනේ නිර්මාණ ලියන්න කිව්ව ඔක කීප දෙනෙක් කීප විදිහකට කරපු නිසා අපි ඒක හැදුවේ
හරි සර්
right කිසිම ගැටලුවක් නැහැ right okay I'll give you a minute if you got any corrections to be done, please have the corrections. Okay, so moving to the 16th question. 16th question is something very parallel to this. So the question was, draw a flowchart to display the first 12 multiplication of user given positive value. So in the earlier situation, we didn't take anything from the user. We were just displaying what are the multiplication of 2 using the program. Now here we are going to ask a value from the user, and according to or based on the value that the user is providing to us, then we are going to display what kind of multiplication table will be there as the output. So if the user provide 3, I'm going to show first 12 multiplication of 3. If user provide 5, I'm going to show first 12 multiplication of 5, right? And this is the flow chart that we practice. And again, we did it in 2 different ways, right? So let's try the both, right? And see whether any differences or like any modifications can be done to that, right? So I'm going with the red color pseudocode. My flow chart is there in black color, right? So Yeah, it's easy. So I'm going to begin, and it says obtain a number and consider it as X. So I'm going to take it X. I'm going to take an input from the user, choosing the input function. I need to give some valid message or understandable message. Enter, it's better a value, enter a value. Right, and the value that I am taking through the input needs to be converted into an integer, right? So because of that, I'm going to put this input statement inside the int function. So it will convert. We know that the input function will give us a string value. So putting it inside the int function will convert into the integer, right? So after that, according to my pseudocode, we'll take a value called y, and we ask it to be the x to be multiplied by 12 and assign the value to the y, right? And again, we have taken a variable called a, and a is given the value of x as well, right? Then there is a displaying part, so I need a print, and I'm going to show a. Then the while loop comes, while a less than y, colon. I'm increasing the a by x, and I'm printing the a again. Right, and that's all. Let's see whether this is going to give us the same output. So here I'm running this. Oh, hold on. I think I have went to the incorrect one. Yeah, I'll take a new one, otherwise you won't be seeing this. Yeah, so when I'm running this, first it's asked for a value. If I provide 3 and press enter, there you go. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. Those are the first 12 multiplication of 3, right? So if I run the program again, if I enter 5, press enter, the first 12 multiplication of 5 will be given, right? So this is a one way of doing this, right? And we have proposed suggestions as well. X ව a assign කරන එකයි display a කියන එකයි, we can omit that using a equals 0, right? So let's see whether it is working. So instead of these things, actually these two, I'm going to give a equals 0. Oh, Nirvana.
ඔතන මේ කන්ඩිෂන් එක කරන් තියෙන්නේ c less than or equal to 12 කියන flow chart sorry c less than 12 කියන flow chart එකට නෙමෙයි නේද?
නෙවෙයි. මේ නිර්මාණ අර දෙවෙනි ක්‍රමය. ඒ c less than 12 කියන එක අපි ඊළඟට කරනවා නිර්මාණ. right, මේ ක්‍රමය ඔයා ගාව නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන් පුතේ. මේක අර ක්‍රම කීපයකට කරානේ කට්ටිය. මමත් මම හිතන්නේ first time
less than 12 එකෙන් මම හදලා තියෙන්නේ.
හරි, no problem. මම ඒක කිව්වේ okay. එකම ආන්සර් එක කීප විදිහකින් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නිසා ඒ ගැන worry වෙන්න එපා. right? ඔයගලන්ට ලකුණු අඩු වෙන්නේ නැහැ විභාගෙදී. ඔයගලන්ගේ ඇල්ගොරිතම් එක හරි උත්තරේ එළියට දෙනවා නම් එච්චරයි. right? So let me check whether this is working. I'll take a new one. So if I enter, let's give 4 and see. Yeah. So it is given 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, and 48. Something easy, right? So you can have the program or the algorithm in this particular manner, right? And in the very same way, we can do this in an alternative manner as well. Now we are going to talk about that. It is based on the second method, which is this, right? So the green color hand tracing. So it is asking us to take a number and we take c equal 1, display c into x, right? And that can be defined by c equals 0 as well, right? Then c less than 12, then c is increase and we are going to display c into x, right? So let's check this as well. So first, in the very same way, I have to ask for this, so I can copy it and take it since it is a big line. Then I'm taking a counter and assign it to 1, and I have a print statement saying C star X, right? And I have taken while C less than 12 colon C plus equal. I think you can remember this operator, right? C plus equal 1 gives you the same idea. C equals C plus 1, right? This is the very same expression as this. So you have to learn these things, right? These things will be in the exam paper, right? So C plus equals 1. That means C equals C plus 1. Then I'm going to use the print statement again, saying C into X, right? So this is the second way of doing this, second method, right? Let's see whether this is going to give us the same output. I'm going to give 10, enter. Yeah, 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. So it gives us the same thing, right? And in the very same way, instead of these two, I can start saying C equals 0. And it's going to give me the same output again, right? If I give 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, up to 72. Right, so this is the programs for the 15th and 16th. So please go through your, and compare with your answer. And if you got any changes to be done, please do the changes, right? I will give you a minute. So just go through.
සර් හැෂ්ටැග් එක දාලා තින්නේ අපි
කොතනද නිර්මාණ?
අර C equals 1 කියන එකට.
ඒ නිර්මාණ අපි කමෙන්ට් එකක් දෙන විදිහනේ Python වල. හැෂ්ටැග් එක දැම්මම මෙයාව කෝඩ් එකේ කොටසක් කියලා සලකන්නේ නැහැ. right?
මේ අර C less than 12 කියන flow chart එකට ආවේ ඕක නේද?
ඔව් ඔයාට ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාට යන්න පුළුවන් එක්කෝ මේ පේලි 3යි ඊට පස්සේ while එකේ ඉඳලා තියෙන ටිකයි කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන් එක විදිහක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ පළවෙනි පේලියයි c equal 0 වල ඉඳලා තියෙන ටිකයි අරගන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකකින්.
හරි සර් මම අර දෙක ලියලා නැහැ ඒක.
ඒ දෙක අත්‍යවශ්‍ය නැහැ පුතේ. මම ඒකයි මේ පෙන්නුවේ එක එක විදි කීපයක් කියලා. Right. Are we done? Is there anyone who is writing this thing still? Otherwise, we can go and meet our new iteration structure, which is the for loop. If anyone is still writing,
sir.
Only man.
Sir, මම උතර දාලා තියෙන සර් කන්ඩිෂන් එකට c equals c+1 කියලානේ.
ඔව් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. මේ c කියන්නේ කන්ඩිෂන් එකට පස්සේ තියෙන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ පේලිය වෙනුවට නේද?
ඔව් සර් දැන් දාලා තියෙන්නේ මේ c equals මේ c+1 කියලා දාලා තියෙන්නේ.
ඔව්. ඒතර මේ මම ලියලා තියෙන එකෙන් ඉන්ඩිකේට් වෙන්නේ ඒකම තමයි නිර්මාණ. ඒකයි මම මෙතන මේ hashtag එකක් දාලා c equals c+1 කියන එක ලියුවේ.
අර විදිහ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ නේ සර් c equals c+1 වගේ
නෑ කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. දෙන්නගෙම ඉන්ඩිකේට් වෙන්නේ එකම දේ. c plus c equal 1 කියන එකම තමයි c equal c+1 කියන එකෙන් ඉන්ඩිකේට් වෙන්නේ. දෙකෙන් එකයි ලියවිලා තියෙනවා.
හරි සර් thank you.
හරි. Right. Okay, so those are the things to be done with the while loop, right? So we are officially done with while loop. And today we are going to learn about the next iteration structure, which is the for, right? And for loop has many capabilities. But again, for loop is not an iteration structure which suits to every iteration, right? We generally take for as a counting loop, right? In programming, we generally consider for as a counting loop, right? But when it comes to the Python, we can do something beyond counting. But again, we can't use for loop for every place that we can use the while. While is a universal solution. Using while, you can illustrate any kind of iteration, but using for, there are limitations, right? So there are two ways that we can use the for loop in the Python. One way is with the function called range, and the other way is we can use the for with index type of variables, right? So let's come to the index type of variable story later. First, let's get to know how we can use for loop with the range function, right? So before I move to the for loop, first I'm going to show you how the range function works, right? Now, range function is an inbuilt function, right? The range function is something like print, input kind of things. It has particular thing to do. Print is there to print things. Input is there to take the inputs. Likewise, range is there to act as a counting function, right? So when we connect the counting function with the for loop, we can do the iteration according to a counting purpose, right? Let me illustrate it to you first. So in the first example, these codes, I have used the print statement to show you what's the nature of the range function, right? Now, here at the very beginning, I have given you the syntax about the range function. So range function, it's all simple. The name of the function is range. And within brackets, it takes 3 variables. We call this parameters, right? So it takes 3 parameters. One is the starting point. The next one is the ending point or the stop. The last one is the size, the step size, how the counting should happen, right? So this simply help you to do the counting from one particular number to another particular number. Generally, it will help you to count one after the other. But if you change the step size, it will allow you to do the counting 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 or whatever the way you want, right? So let's see how the range function is going to work, right? First, let's understand that. So if I just print range in my program, it's not going to give you any output. Let me show that to you first. Right? I'm just saying range within brackets. I'll illustrate all three parameters for the moment. If I say like 1, 8, 1, right? If I save this, if I run this, no syntax errors are given, but I'm not getting any output. It is because range does not have the ability of printing things on the screen. So we know who has the ability of printing things on the screen. It is the print statement. So if I put the range function inside a print statement, then I save this and then I run it. You can see, careful Susu. Right? You can see it is illustrating the nature of the range function. Nature means what? When it is going to start, when it is going to end. Right? So according to your example, as you can see, this particular statement, print within brackets range 10, it has illustrates you range 0 and 10. But here they only use a one particular value, right? Why this is happening? Let me illustrate that. So here I have provided all three variables, the starting point, the ending point, and the step. Now, if I change the step into 2 and save it and then run it, can you see a difference? Earlier, when I had 1 over here, it didn't display 1, 8, 1. It only displayed 1, 8 only. But when I change the step value into 2, it shows all three variables, 1, 8, 2. It is because, as I told you, in the range function, by default, the step is 1. So if the step value is given as 1, there is no purpose of showing it to the world, because the people who are using the Python, who are doing the coding using the Python, they already know if the step is not given or if it is provided as 1, the step is 1 in all the cases. But if the step is given in a different manner, then it will be shown. This is the way of range function. Now I'll show you some things over here. If I take away 1 from here, right? So now I just have 8, 8, 2. If I save it and if I run this, it is given me a syntax error saying invalid syntax. And I am taking the comma away and I put 8, 2, right? I'm going to save this and I'm going to run it. So it has given me the value range 8, 2. Now that does not mean my ending point is 8 and my step is 2. When only two parameters are given, those are considered as the starting point and the ending point. When all three things are given, those will be recognized as the start, end, and the step. If I provide only two parameters, then first parameter will be the start, second parameter will be the end. Step will be taken by the default value as 1. Right? Yes, Suzu. Right, sorry for that, people. So if only two parameters are given, the first parameter indicates the start, the second parameter will indicate the end. And if I limit this into a one value, like this, if I run this, you can see the range function is given as range 0,8. What does that mean? If you are given only one value, that value will be considered as the ending point or the stop value of the range function. And by default, the starting value is taken as a 0. Right? එතකොට end එක දුන්නේ නැති වුණොත් බිඳුවේ ඉඳලා 8 වෙනකම් count කරන්න කියන එක තමයි එයා අරගන්නේ. Right? කොහොමද count කරන්නේ එකින් එකට? 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 කියන විදිහට. Okay, hold on. ළමයි මට විනාඩියක් දෙන්න. Right, sorry for the disturbance, people. So if only one parameter is given inside the range, so they consider 0 as the starting value and 8 as the ending value. Right? So, and again, you can't keep the range function like this. Right? It will give an exception, kind of an error. Right, saying range expected one argument, got 0, it says. Right, so you can't keep the range without any parameters. Okay, so what you have to understand is we can use the range in 3 different ways. We can provide only one value within the range. So it will be considered as the ending point. Starting point will be considered as a 0. You can give two values. So then the first value will be taken as the start and the second value will be taken as the ending point. you can give 3 values. So then the first value will be start, second value will be the end, third value will be taken as the step. Is that clear, people? Right. Okay. Right. So if you got any doubts, just ask me, right? Okay. Now, so far we have seen the structure of the range. And there is a way we can see how the range is going to count when we use the range. For that, we use a special function called list. So that list function will list you the values in a way that the range function is going to count itself, right? So we can illustrate something like this. So let's take the very first example, saying like 1, 8, 1. And if I put the range function, this function, inside a function called list, right? The list function එක ඇතුලේ තමයි මේ range function එක දැන් තියෙන්නේ. Right? See what's going on. Yeah, I'll take a new one. Right. Very good. Keep it up, Suzu. All right. So now you can see how it's happening. So it shows you how the range function is counting, and you can see something strange here. It starts from 1, but it's end from 7, not from 8. Right? So this is something for you to learn. In Python, if you are asked to start particular counting, later we are going to see the same situation with the slicing operator, right? Slicing කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක කතා කරමු. Slice කරන එකත් මේ විදිහට අපි දෙනවා. කොතනින්ද slice කරන්න පටන් ගන්නෙ, කොතනින්ද ඉවර වෙන්නේ කියලා. So when the starting point is provided, it will start from that particular place where we have been instructed, right? And then it's going to end one value before the ending value, right? So that means if we are provide 8 to be end, it's going to end from 7. If you provide 10 to be end, it's going to end from 9, right? And how the range was behaved here, it has start from 1, went up to 8, 1 by 1. And if I change this into 2, I have changed the step into 2. Look what happens. I'm saving this, I'm running it. See what happens. 1 is there, then not 3, not 2, 3 is there, not 4, 5 is there, not 6, 7 is there. All right. And if I ask to count 3 by 3, 1, 4, and 7, right? 1, 2, 3 is missing, 4 is there, 5, 6 is missing, 7 is there. All right. And if I change this into 4, look at that. 1 and 5 is only. 1, 2, 3, 4 is missing, 5 is there. 6, 7 is the rest of the things, but we are jumping from 4 by 4. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. We don't have anything called 9. Range ends from 8. So it's not going to give us anything after the 5. Is this clear, people?
සාහිත්‍ය සිනාරයක පොඩ්ඩක් කියලා දෙන්න.
හරි. නිර්මාණ මෙතන තේරුම් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ මෙච්චරයි. ඔයාලට පටන් ගන්න තැන කියලා තිබ්බම කියලා තියෙන තැනින් පටන් ගන්නවා. ඉවර වෙන තැන කියලා තිබ්බම ඉවර වෙන තැනට එකක් කලින් ඉවර වෙනවා. step එකේ value එක තමයි පටන් ගන්න තැන value එකේ ඉඳලා එන values වලට එකතු කරගෙන යන්නේ. ඒතර අපි මෙතන 1 කියලා දීලා තිබ්බම එකට එකක් එකතු කරා 2යි, දෙකට එකක් එකතු කරා 3යි, 3ට එකක් එකතු කරා 4යි, 5යි, 6යි, 7යි කියලා output එක ආවා. අපි මෙතන 2 කියලා දුන්නම මුලින් 1 print වෙනවා. එකෙන් තමයි පටන් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ. 1ට 2ක් එකතු වුණාම 3යි, 3ට 2ක් එකතු වුණාම 5යි, 5ට 2ක් එකතු වුණාම 7යි, 7ට හැවැට යන්නේ නැහැ. අපි මෙතන 3 කියලා දුන්නොත් 1 print වෙනවා මුලින් එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න කියන නිසා 1ට 3ක් එකතු වුණාම 4යි, 4ට 3ක් එකතු වුණාම 7යි. Clearද?
හරි සර්.
Right.
ඉංග්‍රීසි අපි අර දෙන ගාන අනුව තමයි නේද මේ
ඔව් මෙතන දෙන step එක අනුව තමයි නිර්මාණ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. මොකක්ද අපේ output එක කියන්නේ.
හරි සර්.
Right? And from the list function, they are doing something beautiful here. They have given you two square brackets to limit the list. Right? Later you will learn we got a data structure called list, which is going to be exactly something same like this. Within square brackets, there will be items. So we call it a list, right? Ekapi data structures got here. Just remember, this is the way they are going to represent a list, right? And people, my little one is like screaming from a little bit far away from here. Is it disturbing to you all? Can you clearly hear what I'm saying? Is my voice is mixing up with my daughter's one? People? Ah, right, okay. Right, okay. Thank you very much, Lalindi. All right. So, yeah, so this is the nature of the range. Now, if I take away the step, just 1,8, you know what is happening. So when the step is missing, they'll take 1 as the value of the step. So it will start from 1, goes until the 7. Now, if I change these values like this, what would be the output, people? Yes, when the step is not given, they are going to take 1 as the step. So what's going to be the output for this particular code? Yes, take a guess, please.
Sir, මේ කියන්නේ 3න් පටන් ගන්න 7න් ඉවරුනහමද?
3,8 කියලා දුන්නා මොකද්ද output එක? Yes, Dil sir, that's correct. Right? And it's going to be with square brackets separated by the comma, Dil sir. Right? Yes, Lalindi. That's the exact answer which is going to be. So if I run this, it will give you 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it starts from 3, goes up until the 7. They are not reaching to the 8. Right?
Sir?
Oh, Nirmana.
Sir, එතකොට මේ කියන්නේ ආන්සර් එක එන්නේ කොහොමද කියන්නේ? මට දැන් 3 to 8 ගත්තම 7 වෙනකන් ගන්න ඕනේ.
ඔව්.
ඒතර හරි ප්‍රශ්නේ මොකද්ද මේ වුනේ? මට ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි.
ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ නිර්මාණ මම මේකේ ස්ටෙප් එකක් දීලා නැහැනේ.
ඔව් සර්.
එතකොට ස්ටෙප් එක by default එයා 1යි කියලා අරගන්නවා. right? ඒකයි උතන.
ඒතර එක එක එකතු වෙනවානේ.
තියෙනවා නම් ඒ අදාළ ස්ටෙප් එකෙන් යනවා. 3,8,2 කියලා තිබ්බොත්
අපිට ගන්න වෙන්නේ.
නිර්මාණ පැහැදිලි නැහැ කියන එක.
ඒ ස්ටෙප් එකක් නැති වුණොත් 1 කියලා නේද හිතන්න වෙන්නේ?
ඔව් ස්ටෙප් එකක් දීලා නැති වුණොත් by default 1 කියලා තමයි අරගන්නේ.
ඊට පස්සේ 7 නේද දෙන්න 3 ඉඳන් 7 වෙනකන් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන උත්තර.
ඔව්.
හරි.
Hari, right. Then if I just give this, so only one number, when there is only one number with the range function, it defines what is the number that is going to stop, and it starts from the 0, right? So the output is going to be 0, 1, 2. 3 is not going to print. because it is ending 1 before the ending point. So our output is going to be something like this: 0, 1, 2, right? So remember these patterns, people. These kind of questions can be easily tested for the MCQs, right? So learn about how the range function is going to behave, right? Okay, and one another thing, if I give my range function in this manner, 3, 8. So not 3, 8, I'm sorry, 8, 3. So my starting value is a bigger value, ending value is a smaller value, right? Let's see how it's going to happen. Yeah, can you see? I'll take the output again. Look at what you are receiving. You are receiving nothing. You are receiving an empty list. So remember, range function works into the incremental manner, right? So by default, the step is going to be 1. So it will try to start from 8, but the ending point is lower. Now, if I provide a value something like this, so here I have defined the step as -1. Look what happens. Now it continues, right? You start from 8, then step P is going to be a minus thing. So 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 minus 1 is 6, 6 minus 1 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. It's not going to reach 3. We know the reason, because it is ending before the ending point. Is that clear, people? So generally it won't work, but if you give a negative step, it's going to happen, right? In case if I give the same thing with -2, see, 864 is going to happen, right? And yeah, let me have this over here, because I think these 3 things are not in your note. Did I mention anything minus? No, I haven't. Yeah, I want you to write these 3 things over somewhere over here, people, at this coding, at this coding, right? This particular thing to your note on the tute with the with this output, right? Hold on, I'll change the output again. Right, so this is to understand what happens when the things are like this. So when the starting index is bigger than the ending index, no step is provided, nothing is going to be there as the output. So only the 2 brackets will be there. And 8, 3 minus 1 will give you this output. And 8, 3 minus 2 will give you this kind of an output, right? Okay, so please copy it down, people. This is how the range function works with minus steps. Well done, Suzu. 6:30. Okay, so are we done? Is there anyone still writing this down? Okay, so I'm going to move forward. So now we know how the range function works, right? Now let's see how we can involve the for loop with the range function, right? So going back to your note, so here it has shown you how the range function works with the for loop. Now it's from here, let's understand about the for loop as well, right? So in the for loop, the way we can form a for loop is we should have the keyword called for, then put a space and you can have any kind of variable over here. There is no rule that variable is that variable should be I or any single letter. You can have any kind of a variable name. It can be a one letter variable or it can be a variable which indicate as a word. Now, if you can say for count, for space count. So count will be the variable, right? Then there's another keyword called in, right? Then we are going to use the range function, right? So let me take this example to the IDLE, right? And remember there is a colon at the end. So now you are finding another place where you can put the colon. For I in range 2, 10, 3, then colon. So 4 is going to be considered as a compound statement. So what are the other compound statement we learned so far? We learn if, we learn else, we learn elif, we learn for, and we learn while, right? So those are the compound statements. So compound statement means starting from a keyword and ending from a colon. So since we got a colon at the end, the next line should be indented like this. Right now, as I told you, for is the keyword. This I is the variable name, and that I can be any name according to the identifier rules. Then in is there, then the range function is there. Let's see what happens with the output. There you go. The output came as 258. Now, how the range function works? 2, it will start from 2. Step is 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. So in the way that the range function acts, this variable, this particular variable was having the values of the range function per iteration, right? Iteration එකෙන් iteration එකට මේ ite value එක ගත්ත range function එකේ වෙනස් වෙන විදිහට. So first I was 2. That's why the print I statement prints 2. And then again it goes here and take the next value of the range, which is 5. So 5 will be assigned into I. So it prints, that is why 5 is there. Then the next value of the range, which is 8, 8 will be assigned to I. Then print I, then it will print you the 8. Right? So how we can recognize this I is going to be the one which is having the things from this range. Now, if I take any other variable over here, so I'm going to say x equals 2, and if I ask to print value of x over here, and if I run this, see, I is changing to 5, 8. Value of x is not going to change. X is 2 always. Right? So value of x colon 2 is going to happen due to this print line. So that print line considers the value of the x. This print considers the value of this I. That I is taking the values from this range function. People, is that clear?
Sir.
Onirman.
Sir, එතකොට මේ x ගේ මෙතන එතකොට x 9න් ඉවර වෙන්න ඕනේ නේද?
මට හැදිලා නිර්මාණ.
සර් එතකොට x මෙතන 9න් ඉවර වෙන්න ඕනේ නේද? n වෙන්න ඕනේ නේද කියලා හැබැයි. x එක 10ට.
x කියන එක x නෙවෙයි I කියන කෙනා 9න් අතර වෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? I 9න් අතර වෙන්න ඕනේ මෙතන.
9න් ඉවර කරලා තියනවද?
නිර්මාණ චුට්ටක් හයියෙන් කතා කරන්න.
එතකොට සර් මේ දැන් අපි සර් මෙතන දැන් මේක අරන් තියෙන එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේ 3 ගානනේ. ඇඩ් වෙන්න ඕනේ.
ඔව්. ඔව් නිර්මාණ 3 ගාන එකතු වෙන්න තියෙන්නේ. නිර්මාණ කියන එක ඇහෙන්නේ නැති වෙලා ගියා.
සර් මේ කියන්නේ 9ට ගියේ නැහැ කියලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැද්ද?
ඉතින් 9ට
ආසන්න සංඛ්‍යාවකට ගියට කොහොමද?
මෙහෙමනේ 9ට යන්න බෑනේ නිර්මාණ. ඇයි යන්න බැරි? දෙකෙන් පටන් ගන්නවා.
ඔව් සර්.
2ට 3ක් එකතු වුණාම 5යි.
5යි.
8ට 3ක් එකතු වුණාම 8යි.
5යි.
එතකොට 8ට 3ක් එකතු වුණාම 11 නේ එන්නේ. එතකොට ඊළඟට print කරන්න 11 කියන වැලියු එක. 11 කියන එක මේ range එක ඇතුලේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා 8ෙන් නතර වෙනවා.
හරි සර්. හරි.
තේරුණාද? ඒ කියන්නේ 9ට යන්නේ 9 ගාවට වෙනකන් යන්න ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවනේ. මේකේ 8ෙන් නතර වෙන්න වෙනවා.
හරි සර්.
Okay.
හරි clear.
Right? So that is the way that we can use the for loop to express a particular iteration. Right? Now, what kind of an iteration that we can express from this? Right? Moving to your example again. Now here, there is a example to show you how the for is going to work with index type variables. I'm not going to talk about this over here. Later, we are going to learn about the index type variables. In there, I'll discuss about this, right? So it will be much clearer for you guys, right? Now, let me show you how the things are going to happen, or like how the things are going to map, or like what is the similarities in between while and the for, right? Now, if I need to take the same output from a while loop, මේ program එකේ output එක while එකකින් මට ගන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම වුණොත් I'm going to introduce my while loop like this. I need to take a particular variable. I'm going to give that variable the initial value of the range. මේ දෙක කියන එක තමයි x to දෙන්නේ. Right? Then in the while, I'm taking the range, I'm taking the condition x less than 10. Why I'm taking x less than 10? This is starting from 2, goes up to 10. Right? Then here, I have to tell print x, right? Let me go with the I, so it will be much clearer for you. Right, here I'm going to print I, as well as I need to increase I by 3. Now this program will give you the same output of this. Now look at the relationship in between the while and the for. Right, this I equals to initialize over here in the range function. This I less than 10 initialize here by the ending value. And this print I, it is there as it is. And I equal I plus 3, it indicates from the step. Right? So if I run this, you will see the same output twice. See, 258, then again 258. This 258 is there because the for loop is there. This 258 is there because of this while loop. Is that clear? People? කොහොමද while එකක් for එකක් එක්ක match වෙන්නේ කියන එක. නිර්මාණ මෙතන අපි කරන්නේ මේ for loop එකෙන් එන output එකම while එකකින් ගන්න කොහොමද කියලා තමයි අපි කතා කරන්නේ. ඒතර මෙතන අපි I equal 2 කියලා දුන්නා range එක දෙකෙන් පටන් ගන්න නිසා. දැන් අපි හදන්නේ මේ for loop එකේ තියෙන output එකම while එකකින් ලියා ගන්න. ඊට පස්සේ condition එක I less than 10 කියලා දුන්නා ඉවර වෙන index එක 10 නිසා. ඉවර වෙන value එක 10 නිසා range එකේ. ඊට පස්සේ මේකේ තියෙන print I ඒ විදිහටම while loop එක ඇතුලේ print වෙනවා. මේකේ step එක 3යිනේ. ඒක නිසා මම while එක ඇතුලේ I ව 3කින් නිතරම වැඩි කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද for loop එකේ automatically මේ 3 කියලා තියෙන එකෙන් I ගේ value එක 3ෙන් 3ට වැඩි වෙනවා. දෙකෙන් පටන් අරන් 10 වෙනකන් 3ෙන් 3ට වැඩි වෙනවා I ගේ value එක. ඒතර ඒක මම while එකකින් ලියනවා නම් මේ විදිහේ පේලි 4ක් මට පාවිච්චි කරන්න වෙනවා. තේරුණා?
හරි සර්.
Right. So I want you to write the while code, right? While loop එකෙන් ලියවිලා තියෙන code එක මෙන්න මෙතන මේ for එකේ range එක ලියලා තියෙන තැනම ඉඩ තියෙනවනේ. Right? So එතනින් ලියා ගන්න representation of මම ඒක මෙතන ලියන්නම්. I'll put it as a comment. Representation of for loop from a while. ඕක ලියලා මේ code එක ලියා ගන්න. right? ඊට පස්සේ මේකට යටින් ලියා ගන්න output will be the same as the for loop. Right. So copy it down people. මෙතනට ලියා ගන්න, right? For loop එකෙන් range function එක පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙන තැනම වම් අත පැත්තේ ඉඩක් තියෙනවා. අන්න එතන ලියා ගන්න. Okay, one is done. How about others? All right. Is there anyone still writing this? Right. Now what we have to do is we have to try our while loops to be written from a for loop, right? And you will realize what I have told you regarding the while loops. Now, if you try to write, let's see where we have written the first while loop. Yeah. Now, this particular example, the 10th example, can be written using a for loop. Can you give it a try? Whether you can write it using a for loop. Give it a try, people. The 10th example. I'm talking about the Python code now. This can be written using a for loop. Just give it a try. I'll give you 3 minutes, right? Maximum 4 minutes to figure this out. Right, Lalinde, I receive yours. Let me see. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Lalinde, just see whether, check whether, will it take 5 numbers? That was our motive, no? So like taking 5 numbers. Will the range that you have specified will allow the program to take 5 inputs? The only mistake you have made is at that point. Right? Until you people are done, let me write this program from the while loop. Yes, Lalindi, that should be the range. Yes. Nirmana, Kobalamu. නිර්මාණ මට රේන්ජ් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන ඉලක්කම් ටික පැහැදිලි නෑ.
සර් 0.61යි.
එතන ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. බලන්න කොහොමද කියලා. දැන් අපි කතා කරගෙන යනකොට බලන්න අනිත් එක දැන් මේ අපි ලියන්න ඕනේ same program එක. right? දැන් මේ 5th program එක මේ 10th program එක අපි while එකකින් ලියුවොත් කොහොමද ලියන්නේ? We have to take count over here and it starts from 0, right? And while count not equal 5, not equal 5. So what are we going to say? Print, enter a number. Right? Then we say count equal count plus 1. So I'll write it shortly like this. So it's the same meaning, count equal count plus 1 kineka thamai ethini mean when. Right? So once the while is done, we have to write another print statement. Welcome to the lottery game. Right now, this is using while loop. Right? I'll print it. So in the output, you will see. Output of while loop. मैं मामा लिया ने कोगुल लिया करना आवश्यक है. I'm just showing you, right? Now, how we are going to write this from for loop? We can take 4, we can take count in, we can have range. කොහමද range එක යන්න ඕනේ? count එක පටන් ගන්න 0 වලින්. It goes up until to the 5. So it will allow us to take 5 inputs. يعني වාර 5ක් number එකක් ඉල්ල ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි අපේ program එකේ උවමනාව. So the range should be starting from 0 goes up until to 5. එතකොට C count එක 0 වෙලාවෙදී එක සැරයයි, 1 වෙලාවෙදී එක සැරයයි, 2 වෙලාවෙදී එක සැරයයි, 3 4 හතරෙන් නතර වෙනවා. So we can take 5 numbers. Right? So I can have this statement inside my for loop, right? So count equal count plus 1, we don't need that. Eka metaning specify well ivarai 0,5 them, it is going to increase 1 by 1. So count equals count plus 1, and count plus equal 1 කියන එක උමනා නැහැ. It is there inside the range function. So I need this one only. So if I run this, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not, I shouldn't print, it should input, my bad. Right, if I run this, yeah, so first I'm talking about the output of while loops. So I'll give 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Once I press enter, it says welcome to the lottery game over here. Then the next part is output of for loop. Again, it is asking me the number. I can give the same values. But when as values then right, welcome to the lottery game. So if you take the outputs, may output එකම තමයි අපිට මෙතන දකින්න හම්බ වෙන්නේ. Right? So is this clear, people? Right, now you have written this program earlier, so you can write this program near that particular program in the while code to represent how a while code is going to represent from a for loop. Yeah, before you write this, is this clear to everyone? Any doubts? Yes? If you got any doubts, it's time to ask.
Sir, මුලින්ම print කියන command එකද?
Nirmana?
මුලින්ම දෙන්න ඕනේ print කියන command එකද?
නෑ මම මේක දුන්නේ නිර්මාණ ඔයගලන්ගේ මේ එන output එක පැහැදිලි වෙන්න ඔයා මෙන්න මේ ටික ලියුණා නම් ඇති. for එකට දාලා ඔය ටික ලියුණා නම් ඇති. right, මම ඊට උඩින් තියෙන print එක දුන්නේ අර for එකේ output එක මේකයි කියන එක පෙන්නන්න. right. Okay, so your answer should be only these 3 lines, people, right? So where you are going to write this? On the same page, right? අපි 10 වෙනි example එක කරපු තැන මම පිටු දෙක ගාන ඉඳ තියාගන්න කියලා ඇති. So එතනම ලියා ගන්න for loop එකේ එකක් කොහොමද කියන එක. So when you are looking into your questions, you can see the flow chart, you can see the pseudo code, you can see the example or the code using the while loop. And now you can see the code using for loop, right?
Sir, එතකොට ඒ condition එක එහෙම දාන්න නැහැ නේද අපි count equals count plus 1 කියන ටික.
Oh, I count equal count
Yes,
plus
sir,
1 කියන එක මෙතනින් වෙනවනේ නිර්මාණ. range එක 0,5 කියලා දැම්මම ඒක ඇතුලේ මේ count කියන variable එක එකින් එකට count වෙන එක කොහොමත් වෙනවා. අපි ආයේ අමුතුවෙන් count equal count plus කියන්න ඕනේ නැහැනේ. range function එක වැඩ කරන්නේ පටන් ගන්න කියලා තියෙන දේ පටන් ගන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ එකින් එකට වැඩි වෙන එක නෙවෙන්නේ. Clear? Right. Okay, if you are done with that, I want you to write, let me check. Yeah. Now take a look at this pseudocode. The may pseudocode එක ඔයගලන්ට 4 එකකින් ලියන්න බෑ. Now we wrote this to take the total of the input numbers. We don't know up to what point that the user is going to enter the total, right? And we need the first number to be checked whether it is larger than 0 or not, right? So generally we can't write this kind of algorithm using a for loop because there is nothing kind of a counting over here, right? The condition එකේ count එකක් involve වෙලා යන algorithms විතරයි අපිට for එකකිනුත් ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ, right? හැබැයි while එක එහෙම නෙවෙයි. While can be used to indicate any kind of iteration, right? Okay. I'll come to this example later. It's the question number. This is the question number 13. I'll come to the 13th one. 13 can also be written from the for loop. Before I come to the 13, I want you to write the code for the 15th question. 15th එකේ තියෙන question එකට අදාළව තියෙන code එක for loop එකකින් ලියන්න බලන්න. This particular one. Give it a try. 15th question. I'll give you 4 minutes. 6:11 is the time. 6:15 I'm going to discuss. right nirmana let me see අනේ නිර්මාණ ඔයා while එකයි for එකයි පටල ගන්නවද right ඔතනදී දැන් අපි අර note එකේ ලිව්වා නේද for එකක් while එකට හරවනකොට මොන ටිකද match වෙන්නේ කියලා මෙතන මම ලියන්න කිව්වනේ අන්නේ එකයි මේකයි පොඩ්ඩක් match කරගන්නකො එහෙම parallel බලලා තමයි අපිට ඔක හිතා ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැතු for එක ඇතුලේ while එකක් ලියන්න එපා එතකොට loop එකක් ඇතුලේ loop එකක් වෙනවා right hari lalindi let me see okay right okay yes first method is correct and lalindi you don't need anything called n equal to neither in the first method you don't need n equal to do a right and yeah the second method yeah yes that is correct simple as that very good try the 13th one as well do
සර් මගේ හදන්න තියෙන සර් while condition එකේ ඉඳන් තියෙන්නේ
මෙහෙමයි දැන් ඔතන අපි කරන්නේ නිර්මාණ while එකෙන් ලියලා තියෙන example එක for එකෙන් ලියන්නයි අපි මේ හදන්නේ දැන් ඔයා for එක ඇතුලේ while එක ලියාගෙන තියෙන පුතේ for එක ඇතුලේ while එක ලියන එක තේරුමක් නැහැනේ එතකොට loop එකක් ඇතුලේ ආයි loop එකක් ඔයා ලියලා තියෙනවා එහෙම ලියුවොත් program එක වර්ධිනවා දැන් මම අර මේ කලින් මේ කරලා තියෙන එකේ මම ඔයගලගෙන් ඉල්ලුවේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ while වලින් මේ program එක කලින් පොතේ මෙහෙම ලියලා තියෙනවා right මෙන්න මේ program එක කොහොමද for වලින් ලියන්නේ කියලායි මම අහුවේ එතකොට ඔයාගේ උත්තරේ වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ line තුන විතරයි
හරි මම හදන්න
එතකොට ඔතන while එකෙන් ඔයා ලියලානේ තියෙන්නේ එතකොට ඒක for වලින් කොහොමද ලියන්නේ කියලා try කරන්න yeah Lakindu how about the situation Puta is it okay all right right now how we are going to write this this is going to be pretty easy thing right so earlier the while loop is going to be something like this x equals 0 while x less than 24 x equals x plus 2 print x so that is the one we written from the while now how we are going to write it from the for loop so for එකට කවුද යන්නේ දැන් මගේ counter එක වගේ වැඩ කරන්නේ මෙයානේ x0 වලින් පටන් ගන්නවා goes up to until 24 එයා දෙකෙන් දෙකට වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ right so in the for you can use x as the variable in range started from 0 that is correct right and my ending point is going to be 25 මොකද අපිට 24 වෙනකම් print කරගන්න ඕනේ right and my step is going to be 2 and again if you start it from the 0 print වෙනවා දැන් අපේ while එක ඇතුලේ මෙතන x ව දෙකකින් වැඩි කරලා තමයි print කරන්නේ ඒක නිසා මෙතන 0 වලින් නෙවෙයි පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ දෙකෙන් right then we only need what? Print x. Right? එතකොට 15 වෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ පළවෙනි මෙතඩ් එක මේ විදිහට ඩෙලිවර් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයා දෙවෙනි මෙතඩ් එක නම් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ දෙවෙනි එක ලියන්න පුළුවන් 4x in range. දෙවෙනි එකේ කොහොමද තියෙන්නේ? c ව එකෙන් පටන් අරගෙන 12 වෙනකම් පෙන්නන්න. Right? So if it is going to be the second method, your method is going to be how? C equals 0 while c less than 12, c equals c plus 1, then print c into 2. Right, so this is the second method. So මෙයාම අපි 4 එකෙන් ලියනවා නම් how? 4 c in count c starting from 0 ඊට පස්සේ while loop එක ඇතුලේ එකකින් වැඩි කරලා තමයි දෙකෙන් වැඩි කරන්නේ. එහෙනම් c එකෙන් පටන් ගත්තා නම් හරි. Right? Goes until the 12. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතන 13 වෙනකන් යන්න ඕනේ. What we are going to print? Print c into 2. Right? එතකොට මේ program එක 4 එකකින් ලියවෙන්නේ මේ විදිහට. Right? මෙයා 4 එකකින් ලියුවේ අපි මේ විදිහට. මෙයාව 4 එකකින් ලියවෙන්නේ මේ විදිහට. Right? Yeah, I have received some answers. Let me see. Lalindi about the 13th one. Let me see. Yes, very good. Very good. Yes, Dua. That is the answer.
Sir, 13th එකේ sir range එකක් දීලා නැහැ නේද?
13th එකේ range එකක් අපිට හදාගන්න වෙනවා user එකෙන් ගන්න value එකෙන්. මොකද ඒකේ range එක වෙන්නේ බිංදුවේ ඉඳලා user දෙන value එක වෙනකන්. Right? So when you are done with this, දැන් ඔයගලගේ පොතේ ලියනකොට ලියා ගන්න ඕනේ 4 වලින් පළවෙනි method එක මේක, 4 වලින් දෙවෙනි method එක මේක. Right? Don't write the while loops again and again, people. These codings are there. Right? So once you are done with this, try the 13th question. So I'll show you the 13th question pseudocode. Yeah, this is the pseudocode. Okay, so meanwhile, I'll write in the while loop of the 13th one, right? So it should be C equals 0, total equals 0. So we should have an input statement. So we have to ask for a number. Right, then while we have to say C less than number, less than or equal we have taken. So we said total equals total plus num. I'm sorry, not the num. Total plus C. C equals C plus 1. Right, and finally what we have is we have to print the total. Right. So this is the program that you have written. Now, how we are going to convert it into a while the for loop. Now, first of all, you have to identify what is acting here as a counter. The C is the one which acting as a counter. So in that case, we have to say what? Total equals 0. Then you have to take this input statement, right? Then the for loop begins. For C in count, how it's going to be? It starts from 0, goes until when? Until the user given value. So user given value is assigned to the num. So it starts from 0, goes until the num. Right? So in that, we have to have total equals total plus C. Right? Then this print statement. Going to be there. Is Lalindi, sorry, thank you for that. C in range, not count. C in range 0 to none. Right. So let's see how this happens. Here I'm saving it. I'm running this. Let me take a new one. So this is from the while loop. So if I'll give a simple number. If I give 4, and press enter. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, my mistake. I have used number over here instead of now. Here I'm running it again. So if I provide 4, it gives total is 10. Now this enter number is given from this value, which is the program which we written using the 4. And if I provide the same value 4, it got a problem. If you got 0 to number, yeah, what has happened here? The 4 is not being considered here. Num plus 1 should be the value. Right, so let me save and let me run this again. I'm sorry. Right, enter a number. If I give 4 again, it will give 10. That is from the while loop. And if I give 4 here, it gives me the 10 again. Right, the problem on the previous example, previous coding was, it starts from 0. It is not goes until the number එකක් ළඟින් ඉවර වෙනවා. මම 4 දුන්නොත් 3න් 4 වෙනවා. But according to this example, there is a situation where C is equals to num as well. C එක num එකට සමාන වෙන තැනකුත් එන්න ඕනේ. ඒක නිසා මගේ range එක එන්න ඕනේ num plus 1. Lalindi, I think your coding should change on that particular point. Right? So this is the way that we are going to write the 13th one in for loop. Oh, Nirmana?
The total equals 0 කියන එකත් අපි ගන්න ඕනද මුලින්ම? මම එතන අරගෙන තිබ්බෙත් නැහැ.
ගන්න ඕනේ පුතේ. මොකද total කියන එකේනා 4 එක ඇතුලේ maintain වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ. 4 එකෙන් කියන්නේ C ගේ හැටි කොහොමද කියන එක විතරයි. Right? එතකොට C ගේ හැටි විතරයි
number input කරනවා කියන එකත් enter
number එකක් input කරනවා කියන එක
ඒකත් තියනවා කියන්නේ enter number කියන වෙනම තිබ්බොත්
yes අනිවාර්යයෙන් අපි 4 එකට දාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ මේ C equal බිඳුව කියන statement එක මේ condition එක මේ තියෙන increment එක ওই ටික තමයි අපිට 4 එක ඇතුළට දාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ අනිත් ටික program එකේ ඒ විදිහටම ඒ පිළිවෙලටම තියන්න වෙනවා. හරි?
හරි සර්.
Right. So you can copy this down if you have not written for the 13th one. So we are done with the for loop, people. By next week, we are going to start the functions. Right? So still, if you got any doubts regarding the for loop, you got a week of a time. Think about it. Still it is not figuring out, ask me to revise it, right? So I will go through it again, right? Not the entire thing, amaru වෙන තැන මම කතා කරන්න, right? So you can copy this down, then you can leave the session, right? So have a very good night, people. I'll see you on next week for the very same time, and let's move a little forward in the online manner, people, because now the numbers are getting increased again. So it's better we not meet physically until how the things are going to happen. It's just let's move like this and see how the situation is going to be, right? So thank you very much, everyone. Have a very good night. I'll see you on next week. Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone.